No matter how hard any of us try, and believe me, we've tried, we will never be able to humiliate Donald Trump more effectively than Donald Trump humiliates himself. It's become almost predictable at this point. He wakes up every morning and somehow manages to prove his critics right, putting his cognitive struggles on full display, stepping on rake after rake and dragging everyone around him down with him. And recently, that included Melania Trump, after her husband made what can only be described as a stunning admission about their relationship, or more accurately, the complete absence of one. We're going to unpack all of it: the rambling speeches, the racist dog whistles, the invented economic numbers, and yes, that jaw-dropping moment where Trump essentially confirmed what many have suspected for years: his marriage exists largely on paper and for photo opportunities. But before we get there, let me set the stage for where we are politically, because Trump's personal dysfunction is inextricably linked to his political collapse. And I think it's important we understand the broader context of what we're witnessing, because this isn't just about one man's deterioration. This is about the unraveling of an entire political project that was built on lies, intimidation, and the cult of personality around someone who is fundamentally incapable of sustaining it. Let's talk about the state of Trump's presidency, because what we're witnessing is nothing short of a slow-motion implosion. Remember when Trump wanted everyone to believe he was unstoppable, that his authoritarian project couldn't be slowed, couldn't be blocked, couldn't be derailed? That version of Trump, the one who projected strength and inevitability, doesn't exist anymore. What we have now is resignations piling up across his administration, chaos spreading like wildfire, and even his most loyal MAGA disciples starting to fracture. Marjorie Taylor Greene is openly discussing scenarios that would blow up Mike Johnson's speakership. Think about that. We're talking about the possibility of Republicans walking away from the House or going directly at their own leadership. This is what Donald Trump is staring down right now. He's embarrassed, he's weak, and it's not just within his political movement, it's in every aspect of his life, including his personal relationships. And here's the thing that really gets under Trump's skin. People are starting to realize they have power. They're starting to understand that Trump is not inevitable, that resistance actually works, that organizing and political pressure can achieve results even in deep red states. We saw this play out brilliantly in Indiana recently, and we're going to talk about that in detail later because it's a perfect case study in how to beat Trump and Trumpism. But first, I want to show you what desperation looks like. I want you to see what happens when a man who has built his entire identity on the perception of success, wealth, and power starts to feel that foundation crumbling beneath him. So there was Trump standing in front of congressional Republicans, looking visibly unwell, and yes, I'm going to mention his makeup caked hands because it's part of the picture of someone who's clearly not doing well, and he started bragging about completely imaginary investment numbers. Let me share this with you because you need to hear it to believe it. Trump claims he's brought in $18 trillion in investment over 10 months, and that by the end of the year it'll be over $20 trillion. He says this is more than any nation anywhere in the world at any time, by quadruple. Now, let's just pause here and think about what he's saying. The entire GDP of the United States is around $28 trillion. Trump is claiming he's brought in investment equal to about 70% of our entire economic output in just 10 months. You don't need an economics degree to know that's absurd. You just need functioning ears and maybe a basic calculator. This is pure fantasy, delivered with absolute confidence. And what makes it even richer is how he then pivots to attacking the previous administration, claiming they had less than $1 trillion over 4 years. Again, these numbers are completely made up. They're not based on any actual data, any real commitments, any verifiable metrics. But here's what's really happening. Trump is parading around so-called investment commitments as if they're binding agreements. They're not. There's no enforcement mechanism. Foreign governments cannot force private companies to invest in the United States. That's not how capitalism works, despite what Trump seems to think. And let me expand on this because it's important. When Trump talks about these investment numbers, he's often referring to announcements made by CEOs or foreign leaders during photo opportunities. These are aspirational statements, not binding contracts. There's no legal obligation. There's no timeline. There's no penalty for not following through. It's performative capitalism at its finest, and Trump is taking credit for theater. Think about it this way. If I announce tomorrow that I'm planning to invest $1 billion in renewable energy over the next decade, should the president take credit for that? Of course not. But that's exactly what Trump is doing, except he's multiplying these aspirational statements by factors of 10 or 20 and presenting them as his personal achievements. What we're seeing is Trump taking credit for numbers he's pulled out of thin air because it makes him feel important. And that's the real through line here, the psychological core of who Donald Trump is. He needs to believe he's the greatest deal maker in the world because that myth is emotionally essential to his sense of self. This goes back decades, by the way.